Hey everyone, welcome back to the Listen Up Girl podcast. I'm your daily dose of LGBTQ plus news, culture, and conversations we need to be having, even when they are hard. I'm your host, Zach Randall Friedman, and today's episode could be a little difficult. We're not just talking about what's happening, we're talking about what it's doing to us. And because if you've ever felt exhausted lately, or if you felt anxious every time you open social media, or if you're caught yourself doing doom scrolling, through another anti-LGBTQ headline after midnight, you're not weak, you're not dramatic, and you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive into something that doesn't get nearly enough airtime: the mental health cost and constant anti-LGBTQ plus news. So let's dive right in. First, it's the never-ending news cycle headlines. Over the past years, we've watched states introduce bans on gender-affirming care, s- efforts to restrict drag performances, book bans targeting queer authors, and school policies limiting discussions of LGBTQ plus identities. Tran- Federal rhetoric targeting trans youth. And whether you live in one of those states or not, you see it. You see it on Instagram, you see it on TikTok, you see it on X, on cable news, in group chats. The algorithm doesn't care if it's good for your nervous system. It cares if you engage, and outrage drives engagement. So even if you're not trying to stay informed, the system is designed to keep you activated. And we all have that same issue. So minority stress is real. There's actually research behind what many of us are feeling. It's called minority stress theory. The theory suggests that people from marginalized groups experience chronic stress due to stigma, discrimination, and social hostility. Not occasional stress, chronic stress does things to the body: increased cortisol levels, higher anxiety, sleep disruption, which I'm guilty of having, hypervigilance, depression. For LGBTQ plus individuals, especially trans people and queer youth, the impact is measurable. When headlines constantly frame your identity as controversial, debatable, or dangerous, your brain registers this as a threat. Even if you're safe in your apartment in Boston or New York or whatever city you live in, even if you're in a blue state, even if nothing directly changes in your day to day life, your nervous system doesn't fully separate news from personal risk. Your body hears you're under attack. Then there's the doom scroll effect. Let's talk about that doom scroll effect. You know the cycle. One headline leads to a thread, leads to someone quote tweeting about it, leads to a think piece, leads to a video breakdown, leads to comments, leads to arguments, and suddenly it's 1:15 a.m. Your heart rate is up. That's not accidental. Social media platforms amplify content that spark emotional response. And fear, anger, and outrage are powerful triggers. But here's the problem: when you consume threatening content repeatedly, your brain doesn't get to reset. You stay in fight or flight mode, and over time can lead to emotional burnout, avoiding news, cynicism, a sense of helplessness, and honestly, the helplessness might be the most dangerous part. Before we continue, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, I had one of those moments recently where I looked at my bank statements and thought, wait, why am I paying so much for this phone? You know, when something just quietly creeps up over time, you sign up, the price feels fine, and then suddenly you're used to it. You're used to overpaying, just assuming that's just what wireless costs. And I realize I'm obsessed with optimizing everything else in my life to ignore this. I compare flights, I compare streaming services, I will research the best coffee for 3 weeks, but my phone bill, I have just accepted it. So finally, I made the switch to Mint Mobile. And here's what surprised me: nothing changed. I have the same coverage, same speed, unlimited talk, text, and data. My phone works exactly the same, except my bill doesn't. Mint basically strips out the fluff and gives you premium wireless without the premium price tag. And right now, they're offering 50% off 3, 6, and 12-month unlimited premium plans. You keep your phone, you keep your phone number, you activate with an eSIM in minutes. No long-term contracts, no weird hoops to jump through. And if for some reason you try it and you think, nope, not for me, then they've got a 7-day money-back guarantee. Their customer satisfaction ratings are in the mid-90s, which tells you people switch and then stay. So if you're like I was, just kind of accepting your phone bill as the fact of life, maybe it's time to question it. because that's how it's always been, is a terrible financial strategy. Switch, save, and put that extra money towards something you actually enjoy. Take a vacation. Ready to stop paying more for what you have to? New customers can make the switch today for a limited time. Get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 a month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/listenup. That's mintmobile.com/listenup. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for a 12-month plan required. $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. Additional terms available. See mintmobile.com. Now let's get back into the news. So the mental health data. Studies over the past years have shown that LGBTQ youth report significantly higher levels of anxiety and depression compared to their non-LGBTQ plus peers. When anti-LGBTQ legislation increases in a state, crisis hotlines calls spike. That's not political commentary, that's political health data. And adults aren't immune either. Even if you're stable, partnered, successful, constant exposure to messaging that frames your community as other chips away at your sense of security. You might not even notice it consciously, but it shows up as irritability, fatigue, emotional numbness, shorter patience, trouble focusing, and sometimes it's just low-level feeling of dread. We've all been there. Why does it feel so personal? For queer people, news isn't abstract. When we hear they're debating LGBTQ rights, what we hear is they're debating your legitimacy. When we hear they're restricting care, we hear they're questioning your humanity. So of course this hits differently. It's not just civic awareness, it's identity level impact. And for many of us, especially those who grew up navigating rejection or hiding parts of ourselves, that's the sense of threat can tap into old wounds. The nervous system always remembers. So protecting your mental bandwidth. Now here's the part that matters most. Staying informed is important, but staying regulated is essential. So what can we do? Curate your news intake. You do not need real-time updates 24/7. Pick 1 or 2 reliable sources. Check at set times and then log off. Boundaries are not ignorance. Turn off push notifications. Your phone buzzing with breaking news is a cortisol spike waiting to happen. You don't need alerts for every cultural war headline. Create no news windows. Maybe it's after 8 o'clock, maybe it's Sunday mornings. Give your brain space to downshift. Replace scroll with community. Text a friend instead. Go to the gym. Watch something joyful. Attend an event. Joy is resistance too. Therapy is not overkill. Processing chronic stress with a professional isn't dramatic, it's maintenance, especially for queer and trans individuals living in high hostility regions. And also, you're not overreacting. Let me just say this very clearly. If you're tired, if you're overwhelmed, if you're scared sometimes, that reaction makes sense in today's world. The political environment in many places has been openly hostile. But here's what's also true. You're still here, you're still valid, and you're still part of the community that has survived far worse. The goal of constant negativity is often to exhaust people into silence. Protecting your mental health is not disengagement, it's sustainability. So here's your reminder today. You can care deeply and still take breaks. You can stay informed without being consumed. You can fight for equality and still protect your peace. The news cycle will keep you spinning, but your nervous system deserves rest. This has been the Listen Up Girl podcast. I bring you the LGBTQ plus news almost every day, and I do it in 10 minutes or less, and I bring you not just negative stories, but I bring you positive stories as well. I am your host, Zach Randall Freeman. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and as always, stay informed, stay aware, but be sure to stay grounded. Check back later this week for more LGBTQ plus news. Thanks for listening.